Well, I would like to thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's the pleasure's all mine.
Thank you. I know so.
So one of the things that's very different, like we were talking just a little earlier, what the scene is in New York is very, very different than what it was when you were coming up. So if you could just talk about what New York was like when you got there.
When I arrived there, there was a very vibrant energy, a very kinetic energy, a moving energy that pervaded the city.
Right.
The outskirts didn't contain it.
Right.
We lived in the on the island, so it was like trees and flowers and sort of rustic. But when we went to the city, it was a total change.
Right.
Almost a change in your consciousness, because you could feel the sort of the onrush of New York spirit.
Right.
And it was just undeniable, very strong. And I thought that was good because I felt that musicians needed to be in a place where they felt motivated,
Right.
that they felt encouraged,
Right.
or somehow just more inclined to want to play their horn or their music, or their art, do their art, than it ordinarily, just being in any place that didn't give you that extra sort of boost of
Right,
energy,
right.
burst of energy.
What was it like? What was it like growing up in Detroit?
It was excellent. Excellent. If anyone does archives on Detroit, we were really blessed with some of the best musicians in the entire world. I feel some of the best. Paul Chambers,
Yeah.
one of the best bass players with Miles Davis, you know that. Doug Watson, Ted Pollard,
Yeah.
Viber Office, Yusuf Lateef,
Yeah.
now even Elvin Jones, his brothers, all of the Jackson brothers, Ollie Jackson that played bass.
Yeah.
It was so inspiring for me. The one who also, Frank Foster, I believe, and the one who plays guitar is teaching at the school.
Oh, Ted Dunbar? No,
Kenny Burrell.
Kenny Burrell. Oh, you mean at UCLA? Okay, yeah.
Oh, you see that? Thank you. And
That's right. Kenny is from Detroit.
I really felt just very much encouraged. My brother even was a musician, Ernie Farrell. He didn't live very long, but he played with a lot of the top musicians, and Sonny Stitt and different ones that were coming to town and wouldn't have their band or didn't wish to bring their whole band in from New York.
Right.
So, but it was great. It was really great.
And when did you first meet John?
When I went to New York, it was around the 60s, early, maybe 1960. I had seen him play, heard him play in Europe in various venues. I didn't know, because I was working in Terry Gibbs' band.
Right.
I didn't know that he was the headliner over at Birdland.
Right.
So that's really sort of how we became acquainted, and we would just talk backstage.
Right.
He's a very quiet person, very pensive, meditative. You can be sitting very close to him, and it wouldn't even identify almost that he's in the room,
Right.
because his mind was always absorbed in some thought.
What was it like in Dix Hills?
At home, it was very nice because that was time for family. He liked to be at home. He did not like to socialize.
Right.
He didn't like to go anywhere. Once he arrived back home from wherever, he just liked being with the children and walking around in the yard. We were on about maybe 3-4 acres or something, and playing his horn. And I'm sure I may have mentioned this too in another interview, but he would go on a job. He'd go downtown, however, play throughout all of that whole evening and come back home. You know, you got a little drive.
Right.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, he's practicing. He's practicing in the garage. And then if he comes in the house, what do you all do, that blowing into the air
Yeah.
and just moving your fingers? Have you heard them do that? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
He would do that for an hour.
That's funny.
And one evening, you know, we could hear the air go in, constant notes. And I said, "What are you playing?" He said, "I'm playing what I recorded tonight." Could have been Crescent, something like that. I said, "Well, it sounded so good on the tapes that you played earlier." He said, I don't think so. He said, "Why couldn't I have got it to sound like it sounds now?"
Right. Constant perfection.
Constantly seeking.
So if you can remember the first time that he brought the music down from the, if you could tell me the story about when he brought the Love Supreme music.
Downstairs. Okay, what happened? He went into isolation. We didn't see him. The children didn't know what was going on. I would take food up for him, but no one saw him for several days. So we said, okay, we won't bother him, ask any questions or send notes or anything. About, I would imagine, maybe a few days to a week, he came downstairs like Moses coming down from the mountain. And he said, "For the first time in my life, for the next album," he said, "I have all of the music." Not some, all of the music. And this is the first time it's ever happened to me. And I thought it was so great because John has admitted himself how many times he would arrive at the session and didn't have any music. No music, no song titles, nothing. But would compose the whole album in the hallway.
I'm a fan of that kind of thing myself, actually. I've done, although my songs aren't as good as his, but I'm definitely a fan of showing up and creating songs for the moment.
And sometimes they're the best. Sometimes they are because of the fresh, you know, energy,
Right.
consciousness levels are up high.
Right.
But you know how it is when we record. After about the second take,
That's it.
you don't want to hear it anymore
right.
because it never goes back to, you know.
Can you talk about some of the, to me, as I became more and more a student of jazz, I fervently believe that there are tons of misconceptions in terms of people's interpretation of John's methodology and his playing. And there seems to be high levels of concentration on the academic side of his approach and almost no mention of the spiritual side of the music other than casual references to Eastern religion, but not specifically talking about the influence that the blues had on his playing or the mentality, or which is clear to me when you hear what I'll rephrase the question in a way. There's a record that came out not long ago of the quartet playing a Love Supreme live in Paris somewhere, and I'm listening to the song, and Jimmy doesn't know when to come in. Elvin can't remember the ending, and I'm listening, and I'm going, this is odd. But one of the things that it really fermented for me was that it was clear that the only person on stage that really intimately knew the music was John, which means that without a shadow of a doubt, the original recording was basically developed in the studio with not rehearsal and concerts and all that. Because with that band and the caliber of musicianship, if they played the song more than twice, they would remember it. But when I heard the first one, I was like, that makes the original recording even more unbelievable because it wasn't prepared. They went in the studio and they did it.
That's right.
And I think that one of the things that's missing from a lot of my colleagues is the idea of the emotional immediacy of playing this music. There's so much meticulous preparation now, that every possible, portion of the recording becomes so dissected and analyzed before you get into the studio that there's almost an emotional detachment from the music. It is purely analytical, and it fails to move me. And I think that it's one of those things that if you could just talk about, the many, many facets of the philosophy of jazz musicians at that time.
I think if we look back at our source, our foundation, then we should be able to understand that as we grow, even as individuals, it's due to our environment, the sounds of our parents or the music that we heard. We weren't so, how would you say, anatomical?
Right.
Is there such a thing? I mean, just made up of atoms and
Right. Yeah.
molecules and all these things, bone, flesh, but that we're something other. Just this body concept. And because you hear it, when you listen to someone who's playing, you can hear their heart. Maybe you've never seen it, but you hear it. You hear his spirit. You hear his soul. And I think that young people should not get too involved with academics in the beginning. I think it throws you off, and it brings them right back. The very curve that they're trying to get away from, it brings them right back to the beginning, the starting point. Because someone said, well, what are you doing? Do you remember the story Miles told about playing the blues one night? And he said that he was playing this blues and a woman standing there, and I don't know, he noticed her jewelry or something, but anyway, she was outstanding. And he said he played blues, he was playing a heart from within. He said, then he decided he would show the technical side of his abilities. He said as soon as he started playing, everything that he could possibly write out and students could read, just going into the whole cache of what he's obtained academically. He said the woman walked away. He said he looked up and she was gone. People want you to give them something from here. If we want to be technical, we can read all kinds of musics from all over the world. From Europe, wherever you want to, Canada. Stravinsky is one of the hard ones because he had that combination. He had the dynamism, and then he had that heart and that spirit. So he's kind of hard to put in the group.
Right.
But they're so voluminous amounts of work by many, many composers that we could just constantly involve ourselves with. But that, to me, is not real. It's not real.
Right.
It doesn't come from your heart
Right.
and your spirit. But that's what made our music unique, and that's why it's all over the world. Isn't it? Dissected, diluted, imitated. It's all over the world in every genre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The young people have to sing it in their way. We heard it in the church.
Right.
We heard it in the church. It's all over the world. It doesn't matter what your country, geography, your background, your culture.
Right.
It's all because they heard here in the spirit. Even though it had a new name, it had a different name.
Right.
It wasn't about God and heaven, things like that. But we know the source. We know the foundation is divine, is spiritual.
You right about that?
So it's pretty wonderful when I hear it, and when I hear the young people like yourself.
Young. Well, thank you.
And second generation.
Yeah.
I want you all to carry on a good, strong legacy of music that you play from here first. You know, maybe you can write for scores of numerous symphony orchestras and ensembles and show your ability.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to be hidden, anything like that. But you want to hear how the heart talks. We want to hear this, how the spirit, how it speaks, how it feels.
It's much harder to get there now. It's much more difficult to
Because
find
of the
that.
system.
Because of the culture's just different. The culture's different. You know, it's like, I mean, all the churches now, you know, they have air conditioning, so it's not like you can stand outside and hear the music coming through the windows. You know, it's like everything's different. People live all over, you know, in suburbs now and live in all these places. So there's a certain kind of detachment away from the source. I feel when I hear a lot of musicians play, there's
that's
often.
bad.
You know, like everybody learns songs. Like when I was a kid, and I feel very fortunate being from New Orleans, the majority of the musicians I played with couldn't read. So there were all these songs that you just had to learn in the air. So all of a sudden, when you go to a place where everybody reads and they learn songs from books. And to me, learning songs from books is like trying to learn a language from a book. It's just not going to work.
No, it's impossible. Yes,
It's not going to work. You have to hear the sounds,
Right.
spend time in the culture.
Right.
And to me, I hear a lot of musicians, and their approach to playing jazz has absolutely nothing to do with the culture that spawned the sounds.
Well, that means that you're not there. That means you have an appreciation for this music. You wish to God you knew more of it in your spirit and in your soul as a result of being somehow in that culture. Maybe you didn't have to be born into it, but you had to live it. You had to experience it.
Right.
You can't be on one shore listening and then say, oh, I can do that. It's a good copy, you know, but it's not the real thing. And that, I feel, is the uniqueness about the music that we play, the music of you young people, the music of John Coltrane, the music of this culture. Is that, like you said, what about when we didn't have instruments?
That's right.
We used the God-given instrument, didn't we? We used our voice. And we used our hands. And we used our feet. Then we finally got some instruments.
That's right.
And then we started making music
Yeah.
that no one had ever heard of. Well, isn't it a statement? I don't know. Your brother may have had something to do with this interview, where when the German musicians heard music from one of the groups here, one of the black groups here, they said, this is not music from people.
Yeah. Well.
This is a machine.
Yeah.
Because no one could play like that.
Right.
With those kinds of
The
dynamics.
syncopations and the rhythms, and yeah, it was very, very foreign. Very, very foreign to European musicians. Absolutely.
It's amazing. But I feel God has given everybody, you know, everybody has attributes.
Right.
Because you can listen to all kinds of music from all over the world.
True.
And they're so beautiful and so thankful. I know I was when I traveled to places. Japan, I could hear the beautiful koto and the singing and the dance. You could see what a nice, you know, what a nice gift to have. The music of Africa, the drum and talking drums and
Yeah.
all those nice things. Music of Europe, you can listen forever. Music of Stravinsky, you can listen to into infinity.
Yeah, you're telling me.
To eternity.
That's something else, isn't it? Stravinsky.
So it's just a wonderful, it's a wonderful gift to have been close to music, a lot of different music in life, and I feel that John gave us what he was supposed to give us. You know, no one wanted him to leave, and quite frankly, it was a surprise. But I felt that he did what he had to do because he took music to a point
Right.
where, almost everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he moved into that avant-garde sort of genre, nobody didn't know really what to do with it.
Right.
Do you turn around? Do you retrograde? Do you try to finish what Coltrane was doing? Do you try to expand on what he was doing?
Well, it was logical for him to do it because he had done everything else. That was all that was left. He had done everything else in music you want to do. I was talking to a bass player from France named Henri Texier, and we were just talking about jazz in general, and specifically he brings up Coltrane's death, and he said that when he had heard that, and it was interesting that he would say it because let's face it, in the 60s there were a lot of really great jazz musicians. Still, Mingus was around, Monk was around, Max, Miles, all these people were here. But he says that upon hearing about John's death, it was like suddenly the ground just went away under his feet.
Time stopped.
And he said that he didn't know what to do. And I found it interesting out of all of the people in the history of jazz, and great musicians who died at that point. It was something about Coltrane's influence on the music and his spirituality on the music, that he was kind of like the unspoken leader of jazz. I mean, let's face it, he was the leader, and when he died, it was like time stopped.
Yes.
And he said we didn't know what to do after that. It was like our leader was gone, and we were clueless. And
it's very true. And then if we try to analyze, this is why I said, a lot of burden of continuance is up on your shoulders.
Right.
Because where will we go? That generation of us back then is basically quiet and finished, whatever. How do you move from that point in time when he left with that final statement there?
Right. I don't know. We tried. We're trying. That's a heavy one. It's a heavy one, but we're trying to do it.
I think it's going to work out. I really do. I think it's going to move in various directions. Like John sort of knew how to move it ahead. Didn't really require any additional things or any additional concepts or whatever. But I think you all are going to have to do your singular search.
We're trying.
We're going to do it. And then move it into the light. And then others will be, they will be influenced by that light. They'll be uplifted and then combine it into their work.
Right.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to ask? Because that was the statement right there for me.
I'd like to maybe hear about the first travels overseas. And I'm a little curious about those first tours because it wasn't traveling like it is today. It was much harder to travel, much longer.
When we traveled to different places, we found an appreciation for John that expressed itself more profoundly than in our own country. And you sort of know how that goes. The poet is respected more elsewhere than on his own show. But that they had just the way they expressed himself. It didn't mean that they were any more or less appreciative. But places we would go, he would get presidential treatment. I mean, in Japan, they rolled a red carpet from the plane all the way to the airport itself.
Wow.
Station. And I just saw so many displays of adoration, or however you want to call it. After a concert, the young people would run toward him. They would run toward him. And he wasn't, not like the young people, rock stars or anything like that. but they would run toward him. And one boy actually ran after the car. When we finished the concert, he ran from the car all the way to the hotel. Staying. But that's what I noticed is they just seemed to adore him wherever we ran.
And how did those travels influence John when he came back, and influenced the musicians when they came back here and had to create new music again for recordings? What was the link between the traveling and the new music that was being created, or was there one?
I don't think so. I think it was just a continuation of what he was doing. I never seen compromise on his part. Don't play that because we're in this country, or other people are expecting to hear this. He never compromised anything. He always played the music in his own spirit. And we'd return here, and he would just carry on. So it was wonderful years, because it's hard to be near someone that you can look up to in your field and with respect.
Right.
You can look up to many, many people with respect because it's an elder or a relative or a friend. But to look up to someone like him, his stature, with respect, was incredible for me. And both of us come from humble beginnings.
Right.
I mean, it's almost equal. I mean, the things we saw as children. But this mind of this man, the power of his prowess, his intelligence, it was his musicality, his creativity. It was beyond anything I'd ever seen or heard of before. And I know we talked about all those musicians from Detroit. They're talented people, excellent. But none like this.
No,
God gave to
he was the bright light.
Yeah.
He was the bright light.
And he always gave you something that you can utilize. Not just hearing. He gave you something. Like, when you pray, dear God, give the people, give them hope, give them help. He gave you something that you can bring back. Instead of saying, oh, John's concert, Trane's concert was so great, or this new album was so great. He gave you something that you can utilize, that you can engage with your own music. And I always thought it was special because even myself, he never played the piano. Not that he couldn't play, he could play. But he would just say, he said, look, you're playing in 2 octaves. Why? What's wrong with those 2 over there? And you have 3 more up here. That's all he ever said. So when I hear some music, and I hear the 88 and what it can do and what it embodies, I think about him. I think about him. Because you know how, I don't know, you're a youngster. Do you remember how you all first started out, you have 1 octave that you get, and you have 2.
I remember I played piano. Yeah. Play right in the middle of the piano.
That's it. And then in those days, all of those notes were flat. And everything else was okay.
All right. Well, I think out of all of the people, like, because I've done a lot of things. I played in like these rock and roll bands, and I've done recording sessions with a lot of the bands that were popular in the '60s, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And I played with the Grateful Dead. I played with James Taylor and just different people.
To their good fortune.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I had fun doing it. But it was amazing to me that one of the differences between rock and roll groups in the 60s and 70s is that they were more like musicians than entertainers. So when you talk to them, they always talk in musical terms. And bands today don't really talk about music very much. So I was talking to them, and a lot of them were big jazz fans.
Oh, I know it. They even admit they were inspired by John.
Oh, that's
A
what I was
number
going to say.
of them.
It's just,
Even today.
it's odd to me that out of all of the great bands at that time, because that was like the era for great bands, not just great musicians, because you can find great musicians in every era. But like Mingus had a band that was great, Monk had a band, Miles had a band, Train had a band, Blakey had a band, you know, Max Roach had a band. There were all these bands that are out there, you know. They always come back to the first time they heard Train's band. Out of all of the bands, you talk to them and you talk to them, and it always comes to the same thing. It's almost mythic. They talk about it almost in religious terms. Like they were just the intensity from the stage just overwhelmed them.
It was.
And then, you know, David Crosby was saying that he listened to Train play like one song for 45 minutes.
That's right.
And then the show ends and he goes to the bathroom and he's sweating in the bathroom. So he's at the sink washing off. And then the door flies open to the bathroom and Train comes in playing.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes to the corner and continues to practice. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. He goes, no, it's
No, it's true.
Honest to God, it's true.
That's true. He used to practice backstage. He used to practice backstage. And this is something I like. Oh, God. He couldn't give us everything, but maybe I'll tell you and see if you can. You might have interest in looking at it. Not today though. At some other point.
Right.
Someone was, rhythm changes,
Right.
which no one plays anymore, right? He did something where he plays it, the solo through every key. Through every key. Every key. Not, fifths or fourths.
Right.
But it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing sound. Because the brain sometimes has worked through so many different keys and so many different tonal structures. It would put it to work. And it would start working through all of those keys. And it's the most incredible sound you ever want to hear. But this is somebody else is playing.
Right.
Not somebody else is playing rhythm changes on stage.
Wow.
But it was just a soft enough volume for you to hear. This is incredible. It's incredible.
Oh, you can hear him playing in the background. Oh, man.
I'm sitting there looking at him, and I can hear the band, whoever was working that night, they're playing rhythm changes, and he's going through those scales.
Wow.
So beautiful.